Byron here. I'm assuming everybody can tune in and you can see my screen okay. Let's start by just having everybody use your chat to say if you can hear us. Can you hear us out there? Please use your chat and say, yes, I can. Yes, yay. Okay, thank you everybody. Great to be here with all of you. I'm going to blow through a few slides today and just chime everybody in to some of the changes. Erin is here, of course, as well to answer questions and to see if we can find some opportunity to share feedback that we've learned so far, showcase some of the new great updates we've made, and really dive you guys into what we're doing. So, without further ado, let me spin through our highlights. So, for starters, I'm a little bit under the weather, by the way, so bear with me while I, get through the presentation today, and I might cough or do some other things, but hopefully you can hear me okay and we're loud and clear. But net, the highlights, I think, for the introduction were certainly we rolled out casting calls. I want to talk a little bit about why we did that today, but in general, there have been some really complex issues related to bringing in designers and illustrators and animators and other creative people and having all of our systems work the same way. What we didn't want to do is to have the way that our clients work with writers be different from how they work with designers. For example, we didn't want to go to introduce, crowdsourcing design services, which is an awful concept anyway. So we didn't want two variables to happen. So we had to start thinking more holistically with how can we get talent working with clients, and likewise the other way around. So much of what we've introduced today is to try to solve that problem and to do it in a universal way. So the goals are obviously to continue trying to make our platform easy to find talent, place orders, and manage the workflow. Those are the three pillars that we think about all day, every day, both for talent and for clients. So if we can just stay focused with those goals with everything we're rolling out, that's really what we're trying to do. But know that we are listening to your feedback. We look forward to hearing it today. If you have any questions throughout this presentation, please use the question tool that you have to ask us questions. I'm then going to circle back and try to chime in to any of the questions that you all ask. And we really appreciate the questions. It helps us to learn, what your concerns are. This is the great time to do it. You've got our ears, so if you're unhappy with things after you go through a little bit of the presentation, or feel concerned, or have some creative ideas for betterment, bring them on. We're here to listen and learn. So I want to go through first some client updates really quickly, and then the talent updates, which are obviously the flip side of that. So let's, but I think it's important to show you what clients are seeing and what's new for them. All right, any questions so far? Are we good to go? All right, I'll assume we're good to go. Let's take a spin here. So for starters, the clients see, much like you did, we do view these changes we're making as a complete release, if you will, so hence the 5.1. I would, clients will have a pop-up much like you have on your site. We did get some interesting comments on this new yellow that we're introducing, the neon. We got some sunglasses comments, but think about user experiences. You do need a punch color. Your eye needs to draw to something. I was quite tired of the orange being our punch color, so I thought this kind of lemon lime sprite thing might bode well, and a couple of other designers that we work with were supporting that. But if it's feeling very obnoxious to you, please feel free to voice your concern. I think it's fresh, it's new. It's the Sprite lemon and lime look. I don't know, I'm trying to be optimistic, but we won't go too crazy with it because it is very bright, I will say that, but bear with us on that. All right, so not really a lot of other changes on the dashboard for clients, so let's spin along here. One of the big changes that you'll see is that we actually are renamed former setup, which wasn't getting a lot of attention. We wanted to really be more powerful. So we call the left column navigation streamline workflow. Aaron and I had a lot of discussions about this, but in the end of the day, really that's some of the marketing efforts that we're going to be taking forward in the future. Are WriterAccess really has some unusual and distinguished tools to help you truly streamline the workflow. So what a client can see in here is lots of cool ways to, first of all, tell them, what they've paid per month. What do I get with basic, pro, and premium, and then to turn on or turn off those features. In our study of user experience and design, we really feel like platforms can get very cluttered very quickly, which is not a good thing necessarily. We wanted to be able to literally turn off features that people may not want to use. For example, BuzzSumo, maybe they don't care about that tool. I certainly think they should care about that tool, but if they don't want to see it in their navigation, then let's let them turn it off. So all of these tools have these little toggles so people can turn them on and turn them off. And likewise, if you only have your WordPress integration on, for example, you won't see a lot of other choices on there. You'll only see what you've turned on when it goes to export your content. So you get the general idea of what we're trying to do, but this is a new feature for us. Customers had not seen it in this robust form. The other thing is when they click on any of these, a slider comes across where they can learn about it. We're actually having videos made as we speak to really train our customers how to take full advantage of our platform. So the next thing I wanted to show you is a little different layout. We felt over the years we have some really cool tools. I'm not sure you've seen some of the back end of them, but we've created some tools over the years that allow people to create customer journey maps and buyer personas and rule sets and store them, but we had never really put them all in one place, and they were sort of scattered. Over in platform tools, we had our customer journey map builder, but it wasn't. If you did save something, then it would appear on your order form, or you could load it up from your asset library, but it wasn't very intuitive. So what we wanted to do is to make this all one thing. So under Streamline Workflow, Asset Library, boom, you can sort of see everything here. The other thing we did a little bit differently is, we know clients like to use keywords, but we had a very complex way that we had them add keywords in. They basically were kind of forced into adding a domain name to the keywords, and then turning on analytics, which would trigger us to do free search engine result positions, SERP tracking, for them, which was a great feature, but a lot of people were turned off that it was too complex to load in keywords. So we said, all right, let's sort of de-link those functionalities and let's just allow people to add keywords in. So now you can just add a keyword list, and when you go to your order form, if you're a client, you can then say, okay, what list do I want to select? And then you can start dragging and dropping keywords in to either required or suggested keywords from a list that you've loaded into WriterAccess. So we're trying to bring the tools a little bit more to the forefront and make it easier for people to use and strip it down and make the platform simple. So that's another thing we've done for clients. The other option you have back over here, you can see that I've sort of pointed to it, is this option to set up SERP domain tracking, and you can also set up analytics for your keyword report, which was formerly called performance report, but we wanted the name to sort of be synonymous with one another. So let me show you what that keyword report now looks like. So you've loaded in your list, you've chosen to set up your SERP tracking in your analytics. So kaboom, now a client can see, oh wow, let me see how this domain name WriterAccess is doing. What's our traffic every month? What are our listing positions? At Google versus Yahoo and Bing. What are my top risers, my top followers? So you can see how a content strategist could get some really good information quickly and easily from this one single report we have, which we generate free of charge for every customer. We've also, Aaron's created an algorithm over the years. You can see these keywords lists on the bottom. We list all the keywords you've loaded in. in this list that you've then tagged to a domain name, and we show you the cost per click, the search volume, your current listing position at Google, what the trend is, what the SEO difficulty is, and we take that information and we create a single score which says, hey, you should think about going after and writing more content and optimizing that content around this phrase, because our algorithm is telling us, high search volume, high pay-per-click price, you're starting to trend into the top 100. There's a chance you could get into the top 10 where 85% of the traffic comes from. So create more content, optimize it better, and that's really what this report is trying to do. So it's a great feature for clients. I think that they will enjoy this opportunity now that we've made it a little bit more simple, even if they start with a keyword list and then move over to keyword reports. Okay, so let's go to casting calls on the client side, not your side. So, as I mentioned earlier, big footnote here, we wanted to create a way to basically have clients feel like they could interact with somebody much like they do on Upwork, right? And when we're broadening our talent, we need to be in a position to say, all right, let's give people some choices here. Who's eligible? Who do I want to talk with about this order? And maybe I'm in the feeler stage. I don't know what to price, or I'm trying to feel people out. I want to see if anybody's interested. So they want a fast, quick way to connect with people and not just, boom, place an order with money attached to it. So there's a big debate on that, but I think as we broaden our scope, we need to have better communications, particularly when new clients are getting started with us. So what we've done is we've said eligible clients, you can send it to the crowd or my love list or team. We've never had this before. We think it's a great concept in the early casting call communications with prospect talent for a project. We, of course, can add in skills and content type specialties that will help our matchmaking for this particular casting call. But most importantly, we've added something new called budget. We have 3 choices for people for the first time. I want to set my price, which is fine. I want to suggest a price, which means they're open for communication, or I want to request a price from the talent. So we hope that, I personally hope that clients would go with request price from talent every time that they placed a casting call. But sadly, they'll probably want to set a price. Know that we put some variables in that do not allow clients to send a new casting call to writers, at a 5-star level, but then put in pricing for 2 cents per word. So we've put triggers in that will allow people to stay within the boundaries of the star levels that they're going after. So wanted you to know that, and Aaron will talk about that a little bit later because that's one of the questions that came up. The asset library has also been popped in. We had some interesting comments on voice instructions, and I'm going to talk about those in a minute or so. But net, customers can start to see that the asset library becomes an important part of what they're doing. So a lot of new clients are coming right to this casting call. We want them to see that their asset library has creative briefs, fantastic, buyer personas and journey maps. Wow, what's that? So we want to begin to educate with the design of the software. That's really what this is all about, this whole exercise. And it takes a lot of time and energy and to really work this all through, but that's gives you some hints with why we've done what we've done, how we build software. We look at stumbling blocks. We look at help desk tickets. We looked at certainly the Facebook forum to see what feedback and reaction is as we design and develop a new experience and upgrade our technology. All right, so on the subject of voice instructions, a couple of interesting points. Voice instructions have been around forever. I don't think clients have used it for a lot of reasons. They don't want to be bothered with it. They don't really, perhaps want to take the time to explain what they want. They just want to type it out. But let me tell you something, at least from my perspective here. I was interviewing a life coach in Canada on a previous company that I had started, and back when I met Aaron many moons ago, called Life Tips. And this life coach I asked him, how do you know if a customer is the right fit for you? And he said, Byron, interesting answer to that question is the following. I know within about 1 minute if I am going to be able to help this client, to deliver on their goals, whatever those goals may be, based upon the tone of their voice and what they're saying and how they talk about themselves and the challenges at hand. And it struck me as something that was quite interesting and perhaps something that we should do more of. I agree with some of the comments that, for a quick, $30 order, you might not have time to listen to 20 minutes of a voice instruction. I think we do have some challenges there. But I do think that it is important to hear the tone and voice of your customers, at least at some point. So I think the debate is out how we should use these voice instructions, whether they're valuable to you. What we tried to do in this latest release is to bring the voice instructions to more in tune with an order. We want to put them in the face saying, hey, we want you to know that this is an option. And I would also note that none of our competitors offer this free service and this opportunity to actually talk with, to communicate what you want with your tone and your voice. I think that tone and voice are something very, very particular to writing style. And we're doing some work on that front, which I don't have time to get into right now, but it's really cool stuff. But so bear with us while we learn. Let's see if anybody continues to use it. We've had, an abominable reception to this concept of leaving a voice instruction. So we'll see where it goes. We'll see if this makes any changes, and we'll see if anybody likes it or not. We'll continue to look for feedback from you. Okay, next up, let's go to bulk orders. Sadly, we had a lot of customers that didn't understand that, that really didn't grasp the concept of uploading orders from, say, an Excel spreadsheet. So we made it easier. We made it simpler. We made it its own navigation. You can see under place orders in the left column over here that there's an actual bulk order form. We think this is going to be a great way, and we think a lot more customers are going to use this moving forward because you can customize this and really, make it easier to place a larger volume of orders. So hopefully that means more work for everybody on the line. All right, let's go to the talent updates. Yes, we are choosing to move casting call gigs onto the homepage, on your dashboard, listed separately for a whole bunch of reasons. We've already made a few changes based upon some feedback. It's a small area, and I know that some writers might be, increasing the point size of their entire web pages. There's just not a lot we can do about that if you're, unable to see, these visuals in the normal setting. But what we have done is tried to trim some of the columns down. You're only going to see orders that you're eligible for. So let's say you're a writer at WriterAccess and an editor. Those are the casting calls you will be viewing. We're not distinguishing between those two, but as noted earlier, we think it's an exciting opportunity when you have crowd orders as well as love list orders and even solo orders. Solo orders are more of an opportunity for a customer to negotiate with you, and that's really what we love to see in the future moving forward. We're going to try to push that and not have as many quote crowd orders that we think waste a lot of your time and in applying with a low probability. Here we see a crowd order where 24 people have already applied to it. Maybe that's enough. Maybe in the future we'll cap the number of eligible crowd orders that a client can actually see. But we think hopefully you're going to get a kick email for both a love list crowd order, casting call, as well as a solo casting call, much like you would at WriterAccess. You're going to get an alert, either email and or text, whatever you've set up, suggesting, hey, attention required. Please go pay some attention to this client that's graciously sent a solo or a love list order to you to take a look at. So we think the casting calls could become an important first step, particularly for new clients. And we wanted to give them these features that you see here, which are significantly different from anything we've had before. All right, only a few more screens from me, and then we want to hear from you and or Erin with questions. We've also added in, my completed orders, my rated orders, my overall WriterAccess orders. We love being transparent with the business to the talent that we represent. And we do that with our rates, we do that with our orders. I think business has been pretty solid. Last year we grew 15%, which given the pandemic year is pretty solid. So our momentum continues, as represented by making the Inc. 5000 list, which takes about a 30% average growth over at least the last 3 years of time period. So it'll be really interesting. We made the list 5 years in a row. Hopefully we'll make it this year again for the 6th year, but we'll see. So some great data there. On the casting calls, again, you're going to see set price, suggest price, request price. We'll let you know what this customer is looking for here on your casting calls. We hope that you'll personally respond to these casting calls and not just drop in generic answers. We really want you to earn the right and earn the opportunity to win the business the best possible way. So we'd encourage you to be personal. It leaves a great taste in the mind of a client that shows that we have freelancers and talent that really care about these opportunities and value them. So we appreciate your help and support there. Another thing I wanted to ask you today, just to open up some other questions. Aaron and I, one of the next big thing we're going to work on, we want your public profile at WriterAccess to be fantastic. We want you to be so proud of it that you even showcase it to your own clients, to show them that you're working for WriterAccess and available, and have been screened by us and have passed the test to be part of our network. But my question for you is, your inside portfolio has a lot of data: summary, portfolio, industries, content types, specialties. It has to be designed in a much different way, where we show a snippet which can show up in the search results, but then we've got the details below in these tabs. What would you want on your public profile? What information would you want? Do you want to show your number of projects, your endorsements, your skills, your star rating, which is a whole nother subject in itself that I won't bring up right now, but certainly your portfolio, you've worked hard on that. And here we're, that with our new portfolio presentation, we're having you drop in images, we're having you showcase, where this might be. So, we're doing some great things. The question is, how can we redesign the public page so you're more excited to get that and to even use that for yourself or whatever. But we want to showcase you in the best way on the front, particularly when we showcase you on the profile gallery. Another thing about that same subject, not a lot of our freelancers are taking advantage of this special offer. Here you can go in and say, okay, I will do 10 blog posts, the total word count will be X, and here's what I'll charge. So you could batch up an order and start creating more of a marketplace feel, where you offer a special deal if a customer buys X number of assets from you. We think this is an important addition. The question is, does that appear on your profile? Where should it appear? And until you launch that, it's not listed on your profile. So what's the holdup of that? Is there resistance to that? Do you not think that specials and offers make sense for either you or for the community as a whole? If you go over to Fiverr, that's a big way that they sell over there. And that's how they get started with a lot of customers, by showing these deals that you can get if they buy more from you. So think about that. I'd love some feedback on that. Finally, I think you all have access, or know you have access right now, all of our freelancers across the board, to WriterAccess Academy. And just so you know, when we take that up to the next level, you will be able to get, if you go through and graduate from that program, you'll be able to, your badge will automatically appear over in WriterAccess once we get that wired in. I don't believe we've had anyone complete that certification, but if you have, let us know and open up a help desk ticket. We'll put this to the top of our list, because we're super excited to showcase your proficiency in the content strategy space. And that, I will say, is probably the most exciting thing that we think about in the future. I can tell you with relative certainty that there is a major shortage, almost a crisis, if you will, of of lack of content strategists in the marketplace that truly understand these 6 pillars here that we're focusing on with this strategy certification program. We need more content strategists in the world. We need people that understand particularly planning and optimization. Those 3 components, adding creation on top of that, that is such a critical part of what's missing with the content marketing revolution going on. So we've opened this up inside, so you can just toggle over in your drop down and then toggle back out to order. So please go to your little circle in the top right and click on WriterAccess Academy and go in and earn your certification. So without further ado, I just took some notes here. Please don't hold it against me if I misspelled something, but here's some of the questions that we pulled out that I'm just go right at Aaron to answer these while we're waiting for you to ask us some questions, which we'll start taking right now. So, but without further ado, maybe Aaron, you can address a few of these while I go through and take a look at some of the new questions that have come in, if that's okay. Aaron, I can't hear you. Still can't hear you. Nope. Aaron has, like Elvis, has left the building. While we're sorting out Aaron's ability to chat with us, let me go to some of the questions that have come in. Let's see. Is it very necessary to have a casting call? My drawback is that I do not know what language, the language very well, and I want to know if in my case, would there be an opportunity to do this by email, by written means? Interestingly enough, my thinking here is that you think casting call is like a a Zoom call or something where you have to show up. That's actually not the case. And my guess this is one of our designers from Venezuela. Thank you for your question, and let me answer it by saying this. Your casting calls will all be communicated in the written language. You simply need to reply to a casting call that will show up in your dashboard. One of the problems with designers right now is we don't have a lot of casting calls, and that's a problem in itself. But we think this whole new casting call design system that we've developed and showed you today will hopefully encourage our clients to try out the casting call system, request a price, or send it to a solo person or a love list of a small group of people that you think are qualified for your project. Explain that in the casting call and let them get back to you with a written response. So it's a written response. Okay, let's see. Do clients have the opportunity to leave a video message? A client recently sent me a Loom video and it was really helpful. Generally, I prefer written instructions. Interestingly enough, Aaron is looking into that. Aaron, let me know when you're back. I'm not hearing you still. Okay, Aaron is not around apparently, or has something having audio problems. Oh, are you there, Aaron? I heard some ticking. There might be some rumbling coming back in. All right. Aaron is working on some Loom video. It's actually not Loom. He's working on bringing video into the conference. We have a hard enough time getting people to even leave voice messages. I'm not sure how video messages would go over, but I like the concept, and so does everybody on our team. But I'd love to hear some feedback from people on whether they would like a video message to be left by your customer. That will be interesting to see what the responses are. Why don't we do that as a quick poll? I'll create a new poll in a second if I can. If we can get Aaron back on the line, please let me know.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can. Yep.
Okay.
Cool. So Aaron, feel free to tackle any and all of these this feedback that I accumulated here. I'm going to create a new poll right now as well.
Casting calls Okay, just trying to get rid of an echo there.
Yeah.
I had to. Uh,
Ooh, skipping in and out. Not so good. Can't hear you still. Nope. Okay, we'll save that question until Aaron comes back. I would think call in with a phone line, maybe, Aaron. So yeah, that'll be interesting. Let's do a quick poll of the. Let's just use your questions. Say, answer the question. Yes, I would like to see. Oh, somebody just popped something up. That's cool. Give me a yes or no on the video messaging. I know not a lot of people even like the voice messaging, but yes, I like the video messaging, or no to video message. Yes or no. I'll just do a quick scan of the answers here and let you know what I'm seeing. Yes. All right, we got one yes. No other answers. All right. Either people have left the building or I'm not sure what. Maybe you're just multitasking. I've got one vote of yes so far. All right, I'm going to go back up to the questions here. Well, Aaron is trying to figure out how to get in or what's going. That's
can you hear me now?
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Casting calls pricing was changed today. So we put a backstop on casting calls so that if it's sent out to the crowd and it's a set price, that they can't set the price lower than the star level they've selected. It doesn't apply for love list, type selections. Just because the love list can be mixed, it doesn't apply to team selection because it can be mixed. And when it's like a suggest a price, it's open for negotiation. We're providing a box for you to type in a number anyway. So if they're trying to undersell it, basically, if you're interested, apply, put down the price you're open to. But they can start the bidding wherever they want, and it doesn't mean you have to undercut the price. You can just put in what you're willing to do the work for.
And by the way, bidding is a tough word to stomach if you're a freelancer.
We're not into spec work and stuff like that. So
yeah, go ahead.
Casting calls look like a big empty hole on the dashboard. This is more for the talent types that don't get so many casting calls. Is that they're just sometimes there just aren't any, or there's one or two, and I have to allocate the whole, and it's just going to be there, and it's going to look like a whole. It's not really an issue for writers generally. That panel is going to be empty. You've addressed voice instructions. The casting calls only show a few words of the title. We did remove another column today. We removed that type column so that there's more room for the title. So hopefully that's better. I did see in the Facebook group that people had said that the dashboard layout is much better. I did some work there for responsive as well as handling things when they're zoomed and stuff like that. Casting calls do look kind of like unread messages in that if you do click into one, we are keeping track that you viewed it so that we can show you in that list that you've viewed it, similar to how in the main list we show it with a bold link versus not bold link. And also we show recently closed casting calls, and we show those with a strike through font. So a little different there, but in some cases they do look kind of like unread messages because they're unread. When you click into them, we're tracking that you viewed them. Canton Large dashboard we addressed. Mobile version does not scale. Hopefully we addressed. And then this when all column headers are turned on was in the manage orders list, that some of the column headers were wrapping to multiple lines when you have a lot of columns showing, and there's not much we can do when the page is filling up, but if you don't require all of the columns, there's a gear icon on that particular view that you can use to turn on and off columns if there's ones that you don't want to see and you want it to lay out or only want to see certain things. That one currently is set so that you can control what you see. And I don't have access to chat, Byron, so you're going to have to throw
Yes,
anything to
I'll
if you want me
I'll
to address in there.
EMC and feed some questions to you. Okay. Let's see. Let's go to someone had a great idea. Just wanted to point it out. If voice instructions are so important for the client side, why not allow writers to leave voicemail questions for the clients? To me, that to me would be a huge benefit. I initially thought the concept of just having voicemail on both sides would be interesting, but I'm not sure if I would use voice messaging for questions. And that's really not how we're using voice messages for clients as well. For clients, we're saying, do you want to explain your project to people? Do you want to talk with them? Do you want them to hear your, hear the particular concerns or goals or requirements that we have for the project? That's how we're using it. I would think the writer would be probably wanting to get a question to them in as succinct as way as possible. But I think for pitches on casting call, that would be really pretty interesting. What are your thoughts on that, Aaron?
Really, it's one of those things, just like we did for client. The exercise that we did is we've had record voice instructions for for years now for clients. And what we did this last couple of weeks was make it so that in all the places where they generally be able to attach a file, they can also record, call into a dial-in line and record a message. And it just attaches as an MP3 file. It's the same as attaching a file. And certainly, I don't technically have an issue if we wanted to do that for talent. In any place where they can upload a file, they could basically have a thing where they could, in the message system, on an orders comments, in a casting call to make a pitch, whatever, all the places I could theoretically make it so that they could have a dial-in number and basically record their voice.
Mm-hmm.
But to be discussed, we can look into it and see. It's certainly, it's a service that we're paying a third party for, so it's going to have a cost. But just like the clients, very few of them are actually using it on their side. I don't know how many talents are necessarily going to use it on their side. It's just an option. If you're in a position where it makes more sense to call and actually record your voice as a message versus typing up something,
Mm-hmm.
I don't have any issues against it.
Somebody asked, let's move along. We'll do some polling on that and see what the vibe is on that. Somebody pointed out, can we swap the casting calls with the recent messages boxes? Can we flip those around? Interestingly enough, the new projects are on the left. If you look at the 4 boxes above casting call gigs, and then the existing projects in order are on the right. That's why the user experience logic had it designed that way. But we'll take a look, Joey, and see, what we think about that. But that's the logic, that the new stuff that you can apply for is on the left, and the existing stuff you're managing is on the right. That's the logic behind why we have it the way we do. On the casting call screen, you just show the alkaline water is a 2-cent word order, but wants a 5-star writer. Aaron fixed that, so we should be all set there.
Yeah, it didn't update any existing ones, but it prevents them from doing it going forward.
Perfect. Does WriterAccess tally our orders per industry for work done through WriterAccess? I notice we are not supposed to include them in our portfolio totals. Aaron?
I certainly can tell how many people, how many orders anybody's done under any one of them for the ones where a client has tagged an order with that. And yeah, I don't need you to, a talent to tell me, because I know. And in many screens, depending on the screen it is, I add them into the, when you're adding your experience items and there's the box for you to say, I've done 1,000 projects, whatever, is in some of the screens, I'll take that number that you give me and I'll add it to the stuff that you've done on site. So I don't need you to perpetually go into your profile and update and, oh, I completed another order there, now it's 1,001. Is I'll take the 1,000 you entered, and that's basically the number of, hey, this is the stuff, the ballpark amount I've done off-site, off of WriterAccess. And I'll add those two numbers and hey, it's 1,012 or whatever.
Perfect. Special offers. I've tried special offers on other platforms. I generally shy away from it because it is harder to vet clients and avoid unpaid scope creep. Good to know. Wonder if other people have similar experiences. In general, it looks like Samantha's not in favor of special offers, but I just wonder, do other people see a benefit to special offers? Do they see the logic with Y-Fiber might do millions and millions of dollars through these special offers? Are we missing an opportunity? And particularly for, say, designers coming on board, do you want to have a brand identity project? Do you want to have a logo, stationery, business card, a package feel to what you design? And then can we also get examples of work, which we probably would need to add to the current special projects? There's no way to put samples in there, Aaron, as I recall, that show an example of this project that you've created, correct? Certainly not in our new portfolio setup. Correct? Yeah. So that would be something we would probably want to work on. Feel free to comment on that. About content strategy, I applied a couple years ago and didn't get accepted. I am now permanently blocked from applying. Is it still worthwhile to do the certification? There was never an application, so I'm not sure what you might mean there. Content strategy certification program at Content Marketing Conference was a paid-for program that people had, but we've taken that program and it's now free for all of our talent. And you can just go over and click over there. But yes, if you're a high-level tracking along 6-star writer at WriterAccess, 5-star even, and you want to take your game to the next level and you want to showcase your proficiency and ability to communicate with your clients, the language, in the language of content strategy, boom, that certification program is incredible. There's only over 20 hours of recording from a dozen incredible, speakers that I pulled in for that program. It's phenomenal. You will learn a ton. I challenge everybody to go check it out, and hopefully you'll agree that it's really pretty special over there. So, all right. If we completed the content strategy training, can we reapply if we were previously rejected? Another rejected. I'm not sure what all this maybe
this may be the profile that if they signed up to be a strategist type talent, that if the talent team had rejected them there.
That is totally it. Got it. Yes. If you,
in which case it's more of probably a help desk ticket to.
Totally. Open up a ticket on that. But here's the deal. We're getting 2 people now that have seemingly taken the certification program. I will say this, that the new certification program has a lot of additional hours to it. When we first built this certification program, it did not have the new, we pulled in 5 new 3-hour workshop webinars, all of which everyone on this call and even listening in was invited to. But for the newer talent that might be on board, we revamped that content strategy certification program significantly. So you may want to go in and just take, frankly, the new one, which is now connected to WriterAccess. The platform, the other version of it was not as connected as it is. It was on a separate domain name, academy.writeraccess.com. Aaron, it's going to be much easier for you, correct me if I'm wrong, to acknowledge that one of our freelancers is now has that certification, and that badge could be rolled into their profile, and then they can apply again to be a certification. Is that correct? Would you agree that's the best thing for us to?
It's not that they apply again; it's that their application as that particular talent type, there's no reapply for that, so that'll require a help desk ticket. But certainly, as part of their ticket, they could reference that certification.
Aaron, how are you planning on building, and how hard is it to build out that ability for the certification badge to immediately go on a writer's profile at WriterAccess, even if they're not one of our certified content strategists? Is that a pretty
15
easy?
minutes? Yeah,
Okay, we need to
I have
get that
all the
done today.
data. So
So what that means is for Samantha, Alexandra, they've passed that test apparently,
it
right?
would appear on their writer profile, but they still aren't going to have a strategist profile unless they open a help desk ticket and get that reactivated. Didn't have that
Okay,
overridden.
fair enough. But let it be known that if anybody passes that content strategy certification after 15 minutes of this call, maybe not quite, by this week, by early next week at the latest, your badge will instantly appear on WriterAccess as with the content strategy certification. So ta-da, very exciting. Let's see. Personally, I won't use the special offers functionality. Cutting my rate for bulk doesn't do me any good. I don't think the Fiverr model is good one for talent. It seems to race the cheapest price downward. Okay, got it. Appreciate the opinion there. Any chance to add transcription service to help? I hate having to watch videos for an hour to get a handful of takeaways. Clients often attach YouTube videos of webinars, etc. Could be an upsell opportunity for WriterAccess. Aaron, thoughts on transcription service for video?
I know that there's places out there that you can upload or whatever points the video and you can pay to have it done. I don't know that necessarily I'm going to be the one to do that in a a proactive, let's do it for all videos type of thing.
Right.
Just in case you want it.
Right.
But certainly there are, I know Microsoft has a service for that, Amazon has a service for that, stuff like that. There's just websites out there where you can pay and they'll use artificial intelligence to go transcribe it.
We'll keep everyone abreast of that. We're with you that it would be a great benefit to transcribe on the fly. We'll see where we go with that. Maybe we can find a partner we can use to do that. Let's see. Feedback on video. In my case, it was helpful because the client wanted to show me specific websites. He also made a written brief. And it was also helpful to put a face and a voice to the name. Thanks for the feedback. Yes to video messaging. Yes, no. Makes more work for writers. I think that's a comment on voice instructions. Voice messaging is terrible. But if you're going to have audio, may as well go all in with video. Thanks. I have clients send recordings of Zoom calls, and they were helpful. So you can see the mixed impressions here. Classic. I can't find a chat or poll option anywhere. Yeah, I tried to set up a poll, but you really need to do that prior to the webinar. I'm trying to figure that out. Depends on the client. Are we supposed to answer the questions? I can't find the chat. No, there's in your right column, there's something called questions, which will appear on your GoToWebinar control panel, and you're using that right now because you asked a question. So just keep using that. That's how we'll communicate. No polls, yes to the video. Thanks, Aaron, for changing the casting call pricing per star level. Yay. How does WriterAccess structure pay for strategists? So right now, Aaron, that's pretty much an hourly kind of a block, really project price or hourly. Is that?
It's flat rate. It's flat rate. It's whatever you quote is a full amount. It's a flat rate orders. We don't have per hour type stuff built in anymore.
Yep.
So if you think it's going to be a $500 type project, you quote them $500 and you'll make $500, and it's not prorated in any way, shape, or form.
Yep. And I welcome the opportunity. Do any of the writers work for platforms where there's a metered type of a system where you say, yes, I want this job. Okay, I'm starting it now. And then maybe there are screen grabs that are taken, randomly every, either 5 minutes or 20 minutes throughout your project and your billings to verify that you were working on the client's project. There's software out there like Time Doctor. Aaron and I have been brainstorming about that for years and saying, wonder what the reception of that would be with the talent community. Are you doing anything like that now? Certainly may be the future of where it goes with remote learning. Time Doctor has exploded during this time period with the with their stats and their numbers with companies that just want to show how that their employees are and validate that their employees are being productive while working from home or working remotely. So what are your thoughts on that? Love to hear it. I have a current issue. An assignment was switched to the house account. First, thank you. It's not fair to you to pay me for an unsatisfied client. On the other hand, it is not fair for me to get paid after doing work in good faith for a client you recommended. There's no simple solution to such a situation, but it leads to my real question. Can you address transparency towards our standing as writers? I have no idea if I'm about to be fired for one bad performance or if my years of good performance might make it appropriate to ask to apply for a permanent in-house position. Fascinating. Aaron, do you want to begin to take that on? It's sort of a complex question.
We have the performance dashboard, or the whatever it's called. It's basically where you currently stand for not having to worry about things. One thing is never, and depending on what it is, we've had people do some awful things with their public profiles and stuff. That they were summarily removed from the platform. But in general, the reason we have that whole performance dashboard is so that there is some type of formalization to it isn't 3 strikes and you're out. It's a heck of a lot more strikes than that. If we moved it to the house account, it's because we thought you should be paid. If we didn't tell you, but we did it anyway, we're not going to, it's a whole bunch of work goes through the platform, and we're not going to quibble over, a $30 article or something. We're just going to pay you, and you deserved it. You did the work. If we felt you didn't, if it was like a quality issue or something like that, we might push back. But in general, if it ends up in the house account silently, it's because it was going to be a whiny, nitpicky type of client, and we just wanted to make it go away, and so we moved it to our client account.
I don't think I would add too much to that answer, other than, we are trying to really tighten up the responsibility that we have with clients. When you pick up an order and drop the order, that is not good. And we will be penalizing you for those types of problems that we have seen historically in the platform that are just not fair. If you pick up an order, you need to deliver it, period, the end. If we see multiple violations of you picking up orders and dropping them, particularly like an hour before they're due or even a day before they're due, and you've hung on to it for several days or a week, that is just unacceptable, period, the end. It's just not professional, and it's unacceptable. If it's a gray area like this one, where you believe you are meeting, if not exceeding expectations, we make judgment calls and we will support you. That's our job. We're representing you and your work. And if we see repeated cases of perpetually moving things to to the house account, which is really irrelevant, that's just our way of paying you without having to cancel the order and create a bunch of muck within the client's site. In their workflow, that's how we just have to handle that. But so, do great work, get great pay, and do it consistently. And that's really what we're looking for, is people that have that philosophy. So that's my addition to what Aaron had to say. But Aaron's answer was fine on itself. If clients don't read their message,
and if you're looking to apply as a in-house full-time whatever WriterAccess employee, we have our career section on the front of the site. Typically, depending on the position, that would be the place to go apply and fill out and send a resume and all that.
Another interesting point here in the whole message is, if clients don't read their messages, they aren't going to listen to them either, referring to the voicemail. Yeah, we've seen a real mixed batch here of, voice messages are good and not so good, and somewhere in the middle. So I think voice message feature on both sides would be most useful during the revision process. That's interesting. I like that a lot. I like bringing in just a quick poll. If on the casting call, if you had an opportunity to leave a voice message there, that of course would be personalized, would you do it? You know, if given the opportunity to personalize, particularly for a gig that maybe was sent out to a love list and not the crowd, or certainly a solo order, you know, would you be more likely to leave a voice instruction explaining your position? I'm just curious if anybody wants to write any notes on that. That would be awesome. Let's go to the next question in the meantime, and then we'll circle down to those a little bit. We've got a few more minutes here, but we want to nip this at 2 o'clock, or in 3 minutes, I guess I should say. The voice messaging just seems like a workaround that means we aren't getting paid for a conference call. That's interesting. They take time to listen to and don't offer concrete instructions to refer back to. How will that impact our work, especially if a client is difficult and tries to change the scope? I'm not against it necessarily, just worry about how it will play out. Really good point there. Aaron, give us your thoughts on that.
I have nothing. I don't know if I have anything to say. They can ramble on, and it may just be a big waste of time. It's hard to say, but it's the same thing as we've all seen client instructions that are 18 pages long,
Yeah.
you know, with 14 attachments, and it's the same type of thing. It's a big time sink for,
Yeah.
you know, how much value you may or may not get out of them, you know, basically telling you everything, you know, the story of their life as part of the instructions.
Yeah.
And it's a time sink that you're not really paid for.
Opening a help desk ticket, alerting our team to a problem is really the way to go with all of this stuff. And what we're doing every time you open a ticket is tracking that, you know, what's the problem? What's the complaint? Who's the violating party here? Are there pros and cons to what someone's telling us? So, you know, keep opening tickets when you find problems, and we'll use those tickets as a basis to say, we need to stop voice messaging. Our customers don't get it, you know, or, whatever the case may be. So keep the feedback coming. Give and take is always helpful. A telephone call is immediate, but a voice message would be better than a written message. Again, there's a positive side to the coin. I would be afraid I accidentally say my last name. Thank you for that concern. We do appreciate you respecting the privacy that we need to have to continue our growth and keeping the orders coming to the overall marketplace. Even when we have one bad apple, that wants to give a phone number out or wants to try to work, in the back door, it does not bode well. And by the way, we've had some very interesting stories recently with customers that did pull talent out of our platform, and boy, were they sorry they did, and actually had to come back to us and say, I just want to let you know that I made a major mistake. I'll never do it again. I hope you don't kick me out of the platform, but man, did I experience a nightmare. I mean, likewise is true. If clients are coming to you wanting to pull you out of the platform, they're unethical. I would worry about them paying you, just so you know. They're literally breaking the law and could be sued for a violation of the terms and conditions. So just be careful of criminals like that. I don't know if I were you, I would want to be working directly with people that are trying to break the law. So, all right. So let's see. Is there any way to see our public profile? That's a great question, actually. And that's one of the problems, really. You should, Aaron, is there a way is there a hack for that? Or maybe we'll just put that up.
There's a few hacks, but yeah.
Let us answer that question with, you should be able to see your public profile. We want you to. And if you can't, then, there isn't much good for us to even take the time to change the design of your public profile.
The easiest way to get to your public profile is to take your talent ID number and just put it on the end of anybody else's public profile. Google is the easiest way to find anything on the web. I know that also it's been referenced that in the referral tool, if you just use the referral tool to create a URL to your profile, that it'll, do the short URL and get you to the same place.
Mm-hmm.
Which in itself is probably a good thing to do. If it's a URL you're sharing with anybody who might potentially be a client, go create a referral program URL and share it and earn some money if they sign up as a client.
Here's a good question. Is it worth considering an SEO add-on package? Title tags, meta descriptions, URL, keyword research. I would suggest pop that up as a special offer if you can offer all of those services. We have clients dying for all of those services. Can you do it all? Can you create a web page for me with copy and also bundle up meta tags, meta descriptions, meta keywords, do the keyword research to optimize it, maybe run it through a ClearScope or SEO Surfer or some of these other tools that are optimized out there. This is why I'm such a big fan of special offers. People want this stuff, and we're not delivering it to them the way that we're set up right now. It's more super hyper focused in WriterAccess original offer to the world, which was get words created, great writers for hire. So I think we need to go beyond what we're doing if we're going to thrive and even be around in 2 to 5 years from now. So, all right. So let's see. Interesting. Does WriterAccess have a stance on how they will protect designers? The writer side has always protected us from clients that change their mind and are impossible to please. But design seems different, and we are pricing. We are pitching. Let's see if I can get. We are pitching subjective values for our time skills. I'm nervous to work on that side without knowing what happens when a client balks. That question is probably for me, but Eric, you're welcome to chime in.
In general, it's going to be like the earlier response where if we think you did the work, we're going to move it to the house account, worst case.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, we're going to have a very high, tolerance for customers that are, not getting supposedly what they want because design is so subjective. But I think in the end of the day, there'll probably be more mediation just to protect ourselves. My guess is that designers will, if they've done good work and have solid portfolios, I think that, and if the work they're presenting aligns with their portfolio, that's another thing we'll probably take a close look at to make sure you're not, misrepresenting yourself and your design skill. Fortunately, I have many years in that business and can assess, creativity, I think, as good as professionals can, given that I ran a business in that industry for about 6 years and was in the advertising industry for another half a decade. So I've got quite a bit of experience in the design world. So I think you'll be well represented. Let us say that. But yeah, we'll see what the vibe is with clients in the work. And I think what we have the luxury to do, which makes platforms like ours so interesting to watch, is that we pick up on, we're really looking more for patterns. Is a designer perpetually striking out with their creative work they're presenting? If so, that presents a problem. The term that I use with Aaron that we have a hard time actually putting an algorithm around is what's the batting average, for this talent or writer or designer or illustrator. If we send a brand new customer to them that has never worked with WriterAccess and the first job they do is with that writer, what's their batting average? That's much different than your batting average for a customer that you've done dozens or hundreds of projects to. So these are, this is where idea guy, meets developer, namely Aaron and Byron, get together and try to, wrestle with these challenges and see if we can come up with something that makes sense. The other thing that I've really been toying a lot with and talking with Aaron about is sort of a visual, almost a visual quiz, if you will, that a design client would have to go through in explaining what they want. So okay, they want a logo. Show me some, show me some logos that are examples of things you like and don't like. So we try to narrow the process down to a particular tone or style of both visual representation of that logo as well as typographic treatment to help the designer do their job. So that's obviously much harder to do, but that's what Aaron and I are here to figure out. How do we stay on top of this? What are the problems that are coming at us? So just ideas. And if you have ideas, by the way, on how that can play together, or if you have examples, shoot it directly to Aaron and I, or open up a help desk ticket. Everyone knows you can reach me at byronwhite@writeraccess.com. I think, Aaron, you're public with your email, but if you're not, then just send your data to me and I'll get it to Aaron. So there we go. All right, let's try to field. I could go on forever, but let's see if there's any other questions. How can we obtain higher star ratings? So, we've got, well, first of all, let me say one thing about star ratings while we're going on a little bit here. I really believe that we're getting close to not moving away from star ratings, but having there be levels rather than star ratings, which are ranges of price points. And I know that will freak a lot of the writers out. That would be a major change. So we're going to be very careful with how we present something like that. But the net of it is, there really should not be a one price, one size fits all for every project out there, and that every work that a 5-star writer does for 8 cents a word, every project that complete is the same type of project, so I'm going to only charge 8 cents, for the rest of my natural life. That does not make sense. Projects vary with complexity, with visibility, with research required, and of course with skills required to complete the project. So I believe the other thing that, well, before I say my conclusion on it, the other thing that's very tricky that is really frustrating me the most about, quote, star levels and correlating those star levels to price points. When I'm a buyer of anything, whether it be a consumer good or a B2B, software, whatever it is, when I think of star ratings, I think of, what a customer reviewed, like not the equation that 5-star is 8 cents a word. No, star ratings are what are the reviews? What are the customer reviews? So I think we've done a disservice to the representation of our talent by pegging them into these star levels. And I'll be honest with you and tell you that the reason Aaron and I went down that road is that was the standard, that was the norm when we started 11 years ago. There were platforms that were correlating star levels with price points, and so they, we thought, look, we want to, blend in here, but we want to create new things that we did, like casting calls and love lists, and using AI to match talent in text with a writer's tone and style from the samples they've created at WriterAccess, all this behind the scenes using AI. So, net, I think, I'm very bullish in wanting to create a better experience and wanting talent. Like, for example, we have 2, 4, 6, 8 star, and then we get to this weird 10 cents a word. I'm sorry, 2, 4, 6, 8 cents per word, which correlates to 2, 3, 4, 5, and 5-star. And then we have the 6-star, which starts at 10 cents and goes to like, $2 or something crazy high, and unlimited. Like, what? Like, why is 6-star a variable from 10 cents to $2 a word? Like, that doesn't make any sense. So I think we're going to see a change in the future. Aaron and I will continue to flesh it out. We look forward to your feedback. You're welcome to chime in any feedback you have here with the questionnaire, and we'll take a look at everything you're dropping in here later. But bottom line, that's my 2 cents on where we're going. So, Aaron, anything we missed here?
I don't have access to the chat, so
well,
sure. I think we're 10 minutes over, and
Yeah. Hourly rates, no other platform I use has it. I won't apply on Upwork for any hourly rate since they can lead to arguments about how many hours are reasonable. Do clients receive any instructions when they sign up? Yes, of course. And they also receive a demo from our CS team if they want, free of charge anytime. I frequently get questions about how to do something. It's interesting. A lot of clients want to just try WriterAccess out without going through our demos and ignoring our requests to get on the phone with them to learn about what their wants and needs are. So we really can't help you there, but certainly want you to understand what's going on. Okay. I'm not into that idea. Seems to destroy the purpose of freelancing to me. I'm not sure what idea you were referring to there. So you might have to clarify that. About hourly, I sometimes work on hourly contracts through Upwork. I have mixed feelings about it. I mainly work hourly for social media work, or if the client requires me to attend meetings or watch videos. Good to know. I think that that's making a good case for us to have hourly options moving in the forward. Again, not that folks would want to do that, but I appreciate that feedback. Thank you. I appreciate very much how fair the in-house team has been with all sorts of situations for me. Thank you very much for that feedback. You can still drop within the hour you first picked up. Yes, that will always be the case. You can drop an order within 1 hour of picking it up, absolutely. Could you give talent the option of whether to accept voice video messaging? That's interesting. That's interesting. Well, Aaron and I will debate that. That's the problem would be a casting call, right? Which is going out to a love list or a crowd. You know, we'd have to let the client know some of the talent may receive it, some are not. I think that would get messy there probably. So that's probably going to need a workaround. I would not leave a voice message for a casting call. That's actually interesting. I'll talk with Aaron about that afterwards as well. Casting calls might not be the place for a voice message. That is a little bit burdensome. But I don't know. Let's just see if we get any clients at all that use the voice messaging system, and then let's follow up with them and you know, to see what the feedback was. I totally agree with the comment of voice messaging versus conference call. Very good. Casting call voice messaging, not sure. I write very short casting call responses and I get very good results. I'm not fixing what's not broken with that. I don't want to invest more time into casting calls, which leaving voice messages would do. Fair enough, but here's the deal on that one. We're giving you an opportunity with the new casting calls that we've opened up to basically say, look, this is a small group of people that are applying for this job. I think you should step up your descriptions. It looks like you're writing some more personalized, you know, casting call responses. You know, if you have the credentials in your portfolio to back up that, you know, that short and sweet message, great. But you have to remember, there are a lot of new writers that are coming to WriterAccess that don't perhaps have, you know, the experience you have here, the number of projects you have completed. I don't think there's a one size fit all. That's just my personal opinion on casting calls, and I'm sure Aaron has a thought on this as well. But let me try to get to a couple other really questions while we're speeding through these. Another compliment on us, thank you. I would like to see my public profile once a year or so. That's a good idea. We're going to be changing that. We want to make your public profile something you're so proud of. You want to share it with your friends and colleagues and even your prospect customers. I mean, we're just happy to help you. I had read something that, or actually I was speaking with a freelancer, I'm sorry, with somebody that applied for a full-time job at WriterAccess, and they used their Contently profile in their application to us. And I'm like, that is really strange. Why would they do that? And they just liked the way Contently you know, presented their portfolio, and it showed a credential that they've earned the right to be a Contently writer. You know, that's the feeling that I want you to have about WriterAccess. But I want our profiles to show statistics and data and, the type of stuff that's much more helpful and resourceful to validate your greatness. So that's my 2 cents on how that works. Would you ever consider giving clients an option where they could allow a writer to add pieces to their portfolio? Aaron, what's your thought on that? Would you ever consider giving clients an option to where they could allow a writer to add pieces to their profile? We kind of do that a little bit, but thoughts on that?
I don't have any thoughts on how to automate that or provide the platform without it just appearing all over the place.
Yeah.
So something to think about. Certainly we have it now where writers can send a comment on an order and say, hey, do you mind if I use this in my profile? In a non-public, type of way or public type of way, or, hey, they gave you a byline, so it's okay to use it anyway because you have a byline. So it's just kind of into what we already have for the attribution model, but formalizing it into the, let the client decide when they're placing an order type of thing. And I don't know how much I want to go down that path, but we can discuss.
Someone just loaded up their special offer. Thank you very much. Good luck. Keep us posted on how it goes. Can we now limit love lists and solos to a minimum price? That's interesting. How would we do that, Aaron?
This is just more in the, again, it's hard to keep a client from placing an order at whatever price point they want. Certainly on crowd orders, we say, hey, you've requested to send this to the 4-star crowd, and so it can't be less than 6 cents a word or whatever. But to say, hey, don't let them is hard, especially in many cases. If you're sending it to more than one writer, it's whose preferences matter the most.
Mm-hmm.
And really, it's just if they send you a solar that doesn't meet the price, you send them a message saying, jack up the price, buddy. I'm not working for peanuts here.
Yeah.
Nobody's saying you have to do anything. Just tell them that it's not good enough, and stick the line.
All right. We had somebody in favor of changing the star rating system, moving away from a writer star rating and more to a range perhaps, or more tied to project complexity and skills and research requirements and stuff like that, which fits with where I had described where we might want to go. So good to hear the support back there. So all right, I think we've done plenty today. We're out of questions. Actually, we did make them through the list. So hats off, Aaron. Thanks for joining me today, and thank everyone for being here. Really appreciate your time and caring about the opportunity to learn about the new release, and hopefully it was helpful and valuable. So thanks very much, everyone, for tuning in. Thanks, Aaron.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.